Hi everyone. My name is Shagun, and welcome to the first episode of Career Guarantee Talks, Sales and Business Development Edition. Now, this is a series where we'll talk about various industries with industry experts such as Abhishek and Abhinav and show you how to kickstart a career in them. For the next 45 minutes, we'll take a look at the sales and business development industry. We'll talk about common myths, job roles, salary trends, and so much more. So, really advise you guys to stick till the end. For today, our industry experts are Mr. Abhinav Singh Pratap and Mr. Abhishek Srivastava. Abhishek is the co-founder of MBAtrek Pvt Limited and LeageUNO. He graduated from Indian School of Business and has garnered over 15 years of experience in global sales and business development. Abhinav is a sales manager at Internshala with an experience of over 4.5 years in the sales domain. He has worked across a number of Edtech organizations and industry leaders like Byju and Upgrad. We're really excited to have you with us here today, sir. I really hope that our viewers, learn something new in this session, and I would request them to stay until the end. So, without any further ado, let's start today's session. Over to you, Abhishek.
Okay, good. Just sort of check for me who's going to move the slides. So just
I'll be moving.
okay, perfect. So go ahead. While go ahead, please. Yes. So we've got a pretty loaded, setup today. If you think about it, got a lot of things that we'll cover. Gonna do the introduction to what is, after all, sales and business development, because there seems to be a lot of myths around it, right? So a lot of people believe, oh, sales and development, business development is about standing in the heat, or it's sitting in a shop and selling. I think there are a lot of things where there are a lot of myths around this, which I would like to bust, because I've done 15 years of sales and BD, and trust me, once you're a 2x founder, as a startup founder, you're selling every day. You're selling every minute, every second. In fact, I'm selling to you right now, and you don't even know, right? So, as you will realize, sales and business development is one of the best areas to start your career, and that's where we'll help you. We'll help you where to start. What are the top 10 industries to join for a career in sales and business development, right? What are the best companies to go for? And today all the hiring is all about skills, and often what happens is a lot of people misinterpret that, and don't understand and think that, oh, my degrees are enough. Actually, sales is about skills. We're going to talk about some of the emerging trends in the sales terrain, career options, the number of jobs available, and trust me, that number will blow you apart, right? I double checked that number that the team gave me, and I triple checked it, and you know what? It's actually real. And we're going to talk about the course. What is something great about the course? We're going to play a couple of fun activities and obviously then wrap up, right? So, uh, very excited to have this opportunity to share my knowledge. And Abhinav, please chime in as you may, right? And uh, I want to set the context here, right? A lot of people don't really understand business development and sales. It's actually three things. There's something called pre-sales, and then say business development, and warming of an account, or warming of a lead, and then actually closing the sale, and then post sales. So sales and business development is a pretty long cycle actually. Whether it is B2B, excuse me, B2B or B2C, right? So a lot of people confuse business development from sales, right? So business development is all about putting my company or my products in in a beautiful position where I'm expanding the market. I'm developing a competitive position, right? So a business development could be, I'm a new edtech brand which has come up in the market, right? And I need to go and beat Byju's or Internshala trainings, you know. So how do I go and beat Internshala trainings? How do I expand the market? Can I attack Internshala's market, or can I go and find another market, right? So Business development is about finding different market sets, target segments, um, and customer base, right, and potential leads. Sales is actually, once you've identified these people, is actually selling. Here's the money, buy my product, buy my service. So business development and sales are connected to each other. A lot of people believe that, oh, they're two separate activities. No, absolutely not. So if you believe that you're going to grow in your career and only do sales and not do business development, please don't be under that impression. And if you believe all your life you're only going to do business development and do no sales, trust me, you're wrong there as well, right? So business development and sales go hand in hand. Okay, let's move on. Now, what is the importance of sort of in business development and sales, right? So business development is all about creating pull for my product. Pull, right? Pull, which is, how do I create a brand value? How do people like my product, right? uh, like flatheads, flatheads was, they showed up on Shark Tank, and the CEO said, you know what, I will not take funding because I don't think I can do a startup anymore, right? I need to go work, I need to take care of my family. And as a part of that, he knowingly or unknowingly did business development. Suddenly his market grew. So many customers identified him. Suddenly there was a better brand recognition. Suddenly people all over the world are ordering flatheads, right? A lot of startup founders are funding them or giving them large orders. So what you will realize, business development is about creating a recall, a pull, a brand positioning. Whereas if you think of sales, sales is very different, right? Sales is where you and your teams, and sometimes with the help of technology, you go in to actually drive that unit sales, close the sale, boost, and profitability is a key angle. In today's world where a lot of startups and companies are burning money, one of the most important things in sales, and this will genuinely drive great, you know, uh, uh, great growth in your career. If you think of Internshala as a company, and if you think of my startups like MBAtrek, we are cash flow positive, we are EBITDA positive, we are profitable companies, we are growing, right? And sometimes we don't even need the funding, because as long as our salespeople are driving the profitability, we are in a very secure place. So as you build your career in sales, one thing I will genuinely ask all of you to think through, and we'll cover this in the course as well, is it's about profit, profit, profit. It's also about sales, it's also about top line, but it is also about profitability. And how do you ensure profitability? The same customer comes back again and again and again, and there is brilliant brand loyalty. um, I'm a little old than most of you guys, but think of, in the early 90s, McDonald's was crazy. You know, in the early 90s when McDonald's came to India, we wanted to eat food every day in McDonald's. McDonald's had amazing customer retention and brand loyalty, and they used to give all those toys, etc., and they used to give you various discounts on Happy Meals. And you know what? We would keep coming back to them again and again, and it made it a very, very profitable business. Okay, let's move forward. Let's bust some myths, right? Because this is very critical, and I, this is a very personal point to me. I've traveled to over 100 business schools on foot, pre-COVID and post-COVID, engineering schools, PBA colleges, PCOM colleges, you name it. I've traveled all across the country. Must have taken at least 100 flights. I have met, and I'm not kidding. I'm genuinely telling you, I've met about 20,000 students. It's sometimes sad. A lot of people just believe, and if I can say it in Hindi, मेरे को sales नहीं करनी है. You know why? Because I think sales is all about cold calling and cold mailing people, and then going after them and going after their life, and then they getting irritated and calling back and blocking my number or blocking my email or putting me in junk. No, actually, unfortunately, a lot of people have done sales the wrong way, and they're pushing. cold calling and cold mailing as a process. I worked in with B2C companies. I worked with B2B companies. I never did cold calling. I never did cold mailing. And trust me, we didn't even have during my time, during most of my career, we didn't even have sales automation. Today, sales automation, AI, chatbots can make things look very seamless and very funky and very sexy. Not in my age, right? So we were never compelled to do cold calling and cold mailing. And the best salespeople never cold call, never cold email, right? They do it just to get a initial connect, and then they start working on nurturing the account, right? The other thing that a lot of people believe, oh, you know what? Let me do marketing. Uh, Marketing seems very sexy, Marketing. Um, I'll get this very great role with HUL in Bombay, in Andheri, the main office, or I'll get a great product marketing or brand marketing role with Netflix, and all the growth is available in the marketing field, or brand management. That's not true. Actually, if you go back and look at all the senior people in companies, CXOs, most of them, you will notice, have done one, if not two, if not three sales stint. They have been country heads. They have run P&Ls. They have done sales on the ground. Because let me tell you one important thing, and I'm taking 15 years of my career and really telling you the mistakes that I made, and I don't want all of you to make those mistakes. Once you do sales on the ground, when you get promoted in an organization, nobody will question your credibility to get promoted. If you come from HR and they go, oh, he or she is just done HR and recruiting, they're not a CXO level. They're not ready to be, a recruitment associate. What career switch will you do? No, you can't do any career switch. Oh, this person does operations. Okay, maybe a close fit, but not so great. Oh, this person does brand marketing. You know what? Just let them go down the marketing route. Let's let them do things around that. You'll be very surprised. Any CEO, and I throw that as an open challenge. And I'm an example as well. You go and look at my profile. There is a pretty big stint of doing sales at Apple India, right? I drove over $500 million of business, right? Um, and in fact, I did three stints in my career. Very early when I was in the US, where back then, and I'm talking almost 15, 16 years ago, I had a target of almost $300,000. In those days, it's about, sorry, yeah, $100,000. It was about 40, 50 lakh rupees. It's some time ago. But the point is, if you do sales as one of the starting roles in your career, you are guaranteed growth in your career, right? Can we move ahead, please? Uh, oh, so there is the constant, travel or sales is very monotonous. You need to take a 4 o'clock flight in the morning, 5 o'clock flight. You have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You need to do day trips to Bombay. You need to go to Hyderabad. You need to be out in markets. Not true. There are a lot of different kinds of sales role. Today, with the world of automation and many other things, there are inside sales role, which is where you actually stay inside the organization and sell to customers. There are a lot of enterprise sales roles where there is travel, but the travel is very meaningful, and you have multiple meetings with customers. And whenever you travel very meaningfully. You're not just going all in an open market. So don't worry, don't think. You'll hear a lot of people saying, oh, sales ka matlab to hota hai that you have to stand in the market and work with distributors. And sorry if my Hindi is a little crass here, but we have to do kit every day with the distributor for 0.5% or 1%. That's not true, right? There are many sales roles. Some of them may require to do things like that. And by the way, that's also a great place to start your career. Famously, HUL and the big FMCG companies actually make you start in a sales role. Regardless of wherever you join from, they will make you start in a sales role and multiple sales role across the country before you actually do something else with them, right? So there is there is a lot of value that people see with the sales domain, and therefore don't be under the impression that it's not a reputable career path. Oh, just because I'm not so great, or I got placed late in my college, or that's why I got a sales role. Sales role is the non-sexy role because people want to do product management or coding, or AI ML or some kind of analytics role. It's a very reputable path, right? And as I said, it's probably the role which could give you a very the fastest route to being a CXO or a CEO of a company, right? Okay. Oh, okay. So this is very interesting. A lot of people believe, oh, now WhatsApp API is there. I can click here, and a Zoho campaign will automatically generate an email, and then there'll be reminders sent to customers. Effectively, we are being replaced by automation and technology. So there is a lot of fear in the market around that, and it's not only about sales. There is a lot of fear around, let's say, analytics as a profile. A lot of people are worried that if a machine can do all the insights and analysis it's on its own, then why do they need a human being, right? Human beings are slower, right? The machine can do the machine learning model, and after a few tries actually do all the repetitive work and build the dashboards on its own, right? So not true in the sales domain. I'll tell you why. Sales is fundamentally about one single thing. It's all about me and you. It's about the human connect, right? Why do you buy a brand? Why do you buy something on when you go to a shop or you buy it online? You have some kind of connection with the product, and the most powerful connection is the human connection. When somebody with a lot of uh, uh, you know uh, value stands up and says, you know what, I trust this product. I trust this product with my life. I'm standing in front of you and selling this product because you know what, I love the features. Let me show you what this product is all about. Building that human connect genuinely feels like, oh wow, that's sales, right? And I'll give you a great example. When I was at Apple, because we sell very expensive products, right? um, Average phone was 60, 70, 80,000 rupees at that time. Probably we had a lakh rupee phone as well. The max are anywhere between 1.5 to 2 lakhs. And maybe there's some cheaper models around a lakh and a half. A MacBook Air. An iPad is anywhere between maybe 30, 40, 50,000 to maybe a lakh rupee. An iPad Pro or something like that. Now, once you look at these products, right, you think, oh, my customers are the best customers in the world. They have so much money, right? Somebody's going to walk in with 50 lakh rupee salary. They don't need a salesperson in the store, right? And in fact, we were we were very silly and very dumb as a part of a cost optimization program. We actually reduced the headcount in the stores by about 20-30%, saying, oh, we don't need so many salespeople in the store. It's such an expensive product. Just make a beautiful, sexy UI and let customers come in, try the iPad, try the Macs, and our shops are in the most expensive and best locations. The customer will buy it on their own. They don't need help, right? These are the most educated people in the country, the most rich people in the country. They don't care. And interestingly enough, we felt by reducing the cost, our revenue will maybe fall by 5-10%. If not, maybe customers may buy more because they're less confused. Because we felt a lot of our salespeople were confusing customers or telling them, you know what, I think you can afford this. Why don't you go and buy an HP? Right. So we heard a lot of these feedback and we thought, let's do this. Maybe we'll actually see an uptick in sales. And I'm not kidding you. And we were shocked. We were shocked as hell to know that we lost 50% of our sales. You know why? Because when a person walks in to buy a 1 lakh rupee laptop or 1.5 lakh rupee laptop, They want somebody to sell it to them. They know every feature. They know everything about it. But they're like, I'm buying something worth that much. I definitely want somebody right there, standing right next to me, explaining the product. I know everything about the product. I still want them to explain it. I want to feel cherished. I want to feel valued. So, what you must understand, the humans in the sales profile are going to build more value and build the human connect with customers. In fact, they're going to solve all the sales challenges which machines find hard to do. Right. So, a lot of value based selling, profitable selling will be done by human beings.
I must agree with you, Abhishek. I myself was, I had this, almost a misconception in my head as well that, ChatGPT and all these softwares and automations are so popular now, and so many industries will be impacted. But then I kind of realized that as people, we want that human connection, like you mentioned, and that, kind of made me understand that, okay, we still need people to convince us to buy things. An AI can attract me, but it cannot convince me to purchase something. So I do agree with you that one.
Yeah. And in fact, I'll tell you something else. In the world of social media, where if I say something, I mean, I'm going. This is going to be funny for all of you, right? I have a 3.5-year-old daughter. One point of time, I was explaining diapers to somebody, and trust me, my social media for 2 days was only diapers. Right? And that I don't know about you guys, but that pisses me off, right? That I mean, you are not allowed to do that. But you know what? That's it. And people actually um, get put off by it. So a lot of companies are actually playing with this, and you know what? A lot of them are pulling back on the automation and saying, you know what? We need salespeople. We need salespeople on the ground. We need salespeople uh, in an inside sales role. So what has changed? A lot of salespeople have moved from the shop or the bazaar or the market to actually inside the company, right? And this is what we call in sales inside sales, right? So, for example, even at the Internshala team, there will be a lot of people who do inside sales, right? When you give them a query or something like that, they actually call you back and say, "How can I help you?" Right? So, what you will say, a lot of human beings are actually now creating a very different journey for people in the sales profile, right? Okay, let's move forward. I think it's a very important point. Uh, and here's a very interesting slide, right? And before I go through all these sort of list of industries, right? Why are industries so important, right? You will say, Abhishek, sales is sales, right? How does it matter? I can sell to anybody, right? How is education different from health and nutrition? No, it's actually very different. Sales, when done in a health and nutrition segment, when you're talking about hospitals, you're talking about healthcare, you're talking about tests, you need to be very, very careful. You need to be very careful about what you're selling. You can't have broken promises. People lives are at stake, right? A small mistake, a small misselling by you has massive ramification. But health and nutrition tends to be again a place where the humans are genuinely required. People want to talk to a human being. They want to talk to someone who can help them find right test or the right doctor to meet, right? That is why an Apollo or a Fortis Healthcare and all their doctor apps actually connect you to a person who says, okay, here's your problem, and I'm connecting you to X and Y doctor. It's not a machine which connects you. It's a human being who actually understands your profile and then connects you to the relevant doctor. Similarly, education, right? And education, both offline and online, requires a lot of salespeople. Real estate is making a massive boom in this country. Real estate was struggling for a while, and real estate is back. Real estate is growing very fast. Real estate will need a lot of people to sell. Please also understand, because of 2 years of COVID, a lot of people feel that they need bigger houses, better locations, more sealed houses, less of air pollution, more amenities in life because they feel the life is actually shorter. Let's live life king size. And A lot of real estate companies are pumping money back, right? They're hiring a lot of salespeople. They're launching projects. They're launching projects and closing projects in 1 month, 1.5 month. FMCG is one of the best places to learn, sales. It is, in my mind, it is the Pathshala of sales. It is the holy grail of sales, right? You want to genuinely learn sales, it's all about FMCG. And if you look at the others, right, from tech as well as electronics, manufacturing, sales has a role across all industries. Move forward. So, who are the top companies? All the top app companies: Uber, Zomato, Oyo, Unacademy, Byju's. Very high touch. A customer needs to understand the product. Sometimes the product can be a little complicated. Um, in Uber and Zomato's case, actually the sales is the other way around. They actually have to go to a lot of drivers and restaurants. So it's not B2B, it's not B2C, it's B2B. Uh, and then a lot of the traditional companies like Titan, Villa Sun Life, BFSI, where sales is again and business development is one of the most critical roles, because that's driving the business, that's getting the money in. Right? These are big cash flow companies. They need money, they need revenue done every minute. They're not funded by investors, right? But if you look at the other way around, companies like Upgrad, Vajantu, which are heavily funded, right? There is pressure on now driving profitable sales, and that's why they're looking for a new breed of salespeople, and they continue to hire in that domain. Let's move forward, please. So, what are the top five must-have skills, right? Why? And before I move into that, I'll tell you something very interesting, right? When I was interviewing at Apple India, I had no background of engineering, or in terms of I didn't do computer science. I was an environmental engineer. I'd worked in that area. Um, I had never worked in hardware manufacturing or hardware sales. Uh, and interestingly enough, when we put together this deck, and I realized this is the feedback that I got from the team saying. Uh, we really believe you are the right person to drive sales planning and strategy and sales for our enterprise and education vertical. And I looked at them and said, no, you're silly. I don't have any skills in that space. I don't even know your company. I don't even know your products. I used to do strategy consulting before this. And they said, no, Abhishek, you have five very powerful skills, right? So the first skill that all salespeople must have is communication, and the art of, or the ability to persuade people in a nice way, not by badgering or bullying them, right? And communication is not only about English, right? Communication is about getting the message across. And once you do that communication and persuasion, that's where the relationship building comes into play. And as we move forward, negotiation. Every sale requires negotiation. You're in a country where people like a negotiation. If I've not negotiated for my product or service, I don't feel like I am going to get something, right? You order a pizza, it's 5 minutes late. You will negotiate with the driver. You will negotiate with the app, right? You want it. We negotiate, and both on the sales side as well as the customer side. And one of the key things about any salesperson, and it's something that I felt, that you need to have very strong leadership, and that leadership gets demonstrated when you have great amount of confidence in yourself, confidence in your product or your service. If you're not confident about your product and service, you know what, don't even show up to work. um, you need to feel like your product and you yourself are the best person to convince the customer.
I do agree. We kind of, and plus, I think these are skills that every person should, inherently have, but they are required to a much larger extent when it comes to sales. and business development, because you really need to talk, you really need to have that ability to convince people, and that doesn't come unless you don't have these soft skills, yourself. So they're definitely very important when it comes to this career path. And if you have these skills as an individual, I think you do great. I guess I'm right, Abhishek? Like people who exhibit these
Yeah,
skills,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, and I'm taking from personal experiences. Every time in a sale, I have demonstrated these five things. Given the adversity, I have been able to close that sale. Anytime I drop slightly on one sale, my sale gets into trouble. Even now, even now, after 15 years of, um, it happened very recently when a customer is like, "You don't seem very confident of the delivery," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think so." And that's it. That was the end of that. Right? It was a 50 lakh rupee deal, and we lost it. Right? Because if the CEO of the company doesn't show the confidence in terms of delivering the exact requirements that the customer has, they're not going to buy it. Right? And
absolutely.
this person was one of my closest friends, by the way, from business school. So he's under pressure to
Yeah,
buy, but did not buy. Right?
yeah, that does
Okay,
happen.
perfect.
Okay. So
Let's
thank
go
you very
ahead.
much. That was really enlightening. Now we'll have Abhinav. He's, like I mentioned, he's from the Internshala team, and he'll be talking about the next slides. Abhinav, are you here?
I hope we haven't lost him.
Yeah, he was having some internet trouble, so I'll just quickly connect with him.
Okay. I'm happy to continue if you believe so. Or
Yeah, sure. You can talk about the slide, and I'll connect him.
I think he'll probably cover the course as well, right? So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
let him do that. Okay, perfect.
All right.
So um, so what's the future of sales, right? Where do you go? How do you get to the last bar, and after that to the CXO and CEO? Sales is a very structured and a very awesome journey. You typically start at the entry level as a sales rep, then uh, you're given small projects, smaller accounts. Maybe you're not owner of the account, but just driving sales at the account level. But then you move bigger and bigger in terms of your role, and you actually become an account executive, right? That's when you probably get some small accounts worth lower in the value, lower in profitability, but it's a very good playground for you to test yourself and practice and strengthen that sales skill. And then you move to an account manager. An account manager and sales account executive are very important roles. These are the effort put in these two roles will completely leave from you. In fact, you may be surprised. You may be an account manager one day, but at a fast growing startups, you no longer need to be a key account manager or a major account manager. You can completely skip to head of sales and operations. If the management believes that this is the right person driving sales, you know what? Let's just promote them. Let's couple of levels in between. So a lot of the hard work as a fresher coming into sales, work hard. Work hard, solidify your position, but the next two positions may come very quickly and you need to really push yourself because that will help you jump 2 or 3 levels very, very quickly. Right. Okay, let's move forward, Shagun. Uh, so there are multiple roles in this area, right? So as we said, BD managers, relationship managers, sales officers. Inside sales is and again a very interesting area and a hot area which is coming through, and a lot of roles get generated here. Okay, let's move forward. This is crazy. This is amazing. Like I triple checked this number, guys. I'm telling you, I couldn't believe. I knew the number was a few lakhs, but that's over 1.2 million jobs. That's 12 lakh jobs available in the sector or the domain of sales and business development. That's insane, right? It's just the number of uh, uh, jobs available, the number of opportunities available, whether it's internship, full-time jobs. It's mind blowing, right? Sales and business development is booming like nothing as companies grow, and I think the startups have a big role to play. They're wanting to create their brand. They're wanting people to care about them. They're wanting people to buy their product. And this is where sales and business development is genuinely becoming very, very powerful. So, with that, I welcome back Abhinav. Abhinav, why don't you take over if you can?
Thanks, Abhishek. Thanks. So it was quite interesting till now that we try to understand the different aspects of sales as of now, and as you might have been surprised that there are more than 1.2 million jobs available in sales. I mean, that is crazy because people are fighting for different set of jobs. But then I think the myths which Abhishek has burst just before some time, because of that only we are having a lot of job openings, because people think generally that okay, sales is something, why should I do? I mean, I do not want to cold call for the rest of my life, right? I don't want to be over mailers for the rest of my life. And I think that was also one major factor which I had initially when I started with the sales. Because the only reason somebody, so if I give you my background, I did my BTech, right? And then I did my MBA. And then I switched my career into sales. So it's just not, so sales is a career which is not by choice, it is a career which is by chance, right? Because if let's say somebody asked you in your 12th standard that what do you want to become, I think most of you might have already said, right, that I want to become maybe a doctor, maybe an engineer, maybe an astronaut for that matter, right? But nobody told to their teachers that I want to be a salesperson. So it's one of the job profiles which is majorly by chance, it's not by choice. I mean, you do not choose sales, right? I think Abhishek would agree on this, because people generally do not tell in their 9th standard, 10th standard, 12th standard that I want to be a salesperson, I want to be one of the that 1% of the salesperson which this globe might have ever seen, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally agree, and I think that gets people into a lot of trouble because a lot of companies
Exactly.
will come to campuses, and if you search a lot of job postings, you'll be like, there are only sales roles available. There's nothing else available. What do I do?
Exactly.
Right?
That's one thing. And the major thing is, of course, I mean, we drive the revenue. The sales people, they drive the revenue, and revenue is something which every business does, right? Any business for that matter, be it, so Abhishek has talked about a lot of industries. You take any company for that matter, and every company has either a service or a product, right? And they have to sell it. They have created a business to sell it to their customer. And if there is no sales team, I mean, the business is not done. And that's where, I mean, if when I see to these numbers, I mean, my mind blows away that okay, 1.2 million jobs are available, and still people say that okay, we are still looking for the jobs. I mean, sales is one of the career which gives you a lot of growth, which gives you double salary. So if you see, the job openings, sales account executive, key account managers, and as Abhishek told, these two sales positions are initially very easily available. And trust me, guys, you take any of the sales roles and your salary is at par or maybe best in the industry. You go to any of the job profiles for that matter. Maybe you go as a full stack developer, you go as a data scientist, but then when you go as a salesperson, you get double salary. Maybe if we go to the next slide, we'll be able to see that what are the salary trends which we generally have in the industry, right? So Shagun, if you can go to the next slide. Yeah. So if you can see, with a very high confidence, the average pay of a salesperson is 5 LPA, right? And I personally know some of the top tier companies which provides you with a salary starting between 3.6 to 4 LPA. If you go into the core, and one of the reasons why I chose sale is because it's a double pay job. I mean, you do not get any other job where there is a double pay. So I personally, my sales team, when I tell them it's a double check, and you make a double check in your salary, and that's where, so one is your fixed and one is your variable. Now, none other, let's say if you work 9 hours for a different job profile, and if you work 10 hours for sales, your 1 hour is getting compensated in way beyond in terms of money than any other job profile, because that 1 hour can give you maybe a $1,000 paycheck for that month, right? And that, as Abhishek has been from that industry, he knows, and I personally know because I have been on a lot of different floors into sales, right? So this is one of the salary standards which sales provides you. And that's where, what a person needs. Let's say if somebody is looking out for a job, they need a security, they need maybe a job profile, they need growth, and they need salary. Growth is tremendous in sales, because Abhishek has already told this, and he has actually challenged, and this is something which I also believe in. Any CEO of a company, if that is not a good salesperson, I mean, it's very rare that you find a CEO without a sales profile, because that CEO needs to think as per the customer's understanding. And if you're not into sales, you have never interacted with customer, and you don't know what your customer needs. That's where the mismatch of the product comes in. So some of the startups or some of the companies which fails initially, the reason is that there is not a product fit in the market. And that's where, these salesperson comes in with a lot of feedbacks that, okay, this is the product which the customer needs, and this is what we are providing. So we just not sell, we also make our products better. And that's where, the best pays out of any industry we are getting. So that's the additional check, which cash compensation, which you see average, it's 2 lakhs. So if you include your base pay plus additional cash, it's going to be 7 LPA. And 7 LPA, I think, for a person who is just starting with a career, I think that's a pretty much high pay in India, right? And not just in India. I believe there are n number of. Why do you think US is very much inspired by sales movies? It's just that because they show you crazy money, and sales actually gives you that, right? Your profile gets highlighted, your growth is tremendous, and money is crazy. I mean, you work for 10 hours a day, and you will be equally compensated, maybe at times even better than what your salary is there, right? So that's what is given into the sales profile. So on this entire this entire understanding of sales and business development, we have actually recently launched a course which is completely into sales and business development. So if you'll go to the next slide, this is going to be a job guaranteed course. It's a 4 months program. Now, sales is an art, and it's of course a skill which you need to understand, right? And the skills needs to be learned from professionals, so people who have worked into the industry, and the people who have done those things on in their portfolio. So here are some of the skills which you will of course require once you start your career into sales. One is CRM. So CRM is very important. CRM, there are a lot of different CRMs. I believe if somebody is looking for a sales profile, they might have always heard of a CRM called Salesforce. Now this like Salesforce, there are a lot of different CRMs as well. Now these CRMs are one of the major important factors to have in your resume, because you need to funnel down your customers. And once you need to go for uh, your basic understanding of the CRM, I mean, you will be able to funnel down your customers better. Then you will be having market analysis, then sales pitch, which is very important for you to go for, because without pitch you cannot sell the product. Then lead generation, which is again a part of, without leads you cannot sell, you need to find your customers. Then Microsoft Excel, one of the major factors where you will be working with your customers, and there are a lot more things which you'll be getting. Okay. Then there are some of the faculties who are there. Abhishek is one of them. Then we have Sambhav Jain, we have Kamal Dravid, who will be the faculties will be teaching you live into this program. Along with that, if you'll go to the next slide, you'll be able to get the highlights of this course, which is the content which is going to be there. That's completely downloadable. You can download the content and you can watch it offline as well. There will be industry recognized certificate which you'll be getting post completion of the course. Career guidance through live classes will always be available. Teachers like Abhishek with more than a decade of experience will be there to help you out. Then industry level projects are there, so you'll be also working on some of the industry level projects to understand that what are intricacies of sales while you go on the floor, right? Then there will be 4 live doubt clearing sessions every month, so that you can have a better understanding, one-on-one interaction with the with the top faculties, to understand that what are the things which you are facing issues with, and they can help you out to understand. Soft skills training, I mean, in sales everything which revolves around is soft skills, how well you can uh, uh, you know just let other person know that how you are going to sell that product to them. And the last is assignments and module tests to understand that how well you have understood the course, and then finally we'll be granting you with the certificate, right? So these are some of the features of this course which are there. We'll go to the next slide, Shagun. So there are some activities which we have planned, and I believe people who are currently with us, we will be, so these are some of the questions, interview questions, which generally are asked. So we can directly go to the second question, Shagun. That will be a bit more, I think, significant for the audience. Now, this is the question which I personally ask in the interviews. I just wanted to understand that how well you know sales as of now. I'm a pure Brahmin vegetarian. How will you sell a fish to me? You can comment down your answers, and maybe we'll take it. We'll take some of the answers from there. Now, going forward, we'll be having a Q&A, and by the time you also type in your answers that how will you be able to sell a fish, I'll be back and I'll be telling you that what should be the appropriate answer for that. Yeah. So you can ask your question, you can shoot up your questions to us so that we can take some of those questions and we can help you out in understanding any of it. Yeah.
All right, so we already have two questions. So first is, my name is Anuj and I want to explore sales profile, but I'm an introvert. How should I go about it? So
Oh, that's
Abhishek,
interesting.
you may.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll take this. I think next question Abhishek can take that. The reason is I was also one of the introvert person before I started with this. So BTech Civil I did. I was one of the person who used to sit in the first bench and never used to talk to a lot of people. And then finally end up I am into sales now. So the reason is so Anuj, right? So Anuj, basically I was also one of the person who is introvert. But see, sales is something which is an art, right? You just need to understand the basics of it. Once you are in the industry, once there is one target for you to achieve, I think you will be able to manage with those skills, because articulation is important. That is one of the major thing. You need to have better soft skills so that you can convince the other person. Along with that, you need to I'm pretty much sure that if you are an introvert, you are for the people who are outside of your comfort zone, person who are, so if I take my personal example, people who were very close to me, who were in my comfort zone, I was a chatterbox for them, right? So I made my comfort zone, I just increased my comfort zone, I let my customer in my comfort zone, and then I became a chatterbox with them. I tried to convince them, I tried to persuade them, and it was an easy cakewalk for me. I think Abhishek will be able to add on some of these comments on this.
I think this is another myth, by the way. A
Yes.
lot of people believe communication is about talking, 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 right? If it was talking, 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 we would not have Q&A right now,
Correct.
right? Anybody who does sales actually needs to keep quiet,
Hmm.
because if you don't keep quiet, you can't listen to the customer. I'm not talking about hearing a customer, I'm talking about listening to a customer very carefully, right?
Correct.
What you need to, if you actually keep quiet, you will be surprised. A customer will feel more comfortable with you. Because do remember, your customers can also be introverts, right? So
Right.
I think I started my career thinking I'll be the most talkative person in the room, and I had a lot of senior managers telling me, Abhishek, you need to shut up because you're not listening to your customer. And I would come after a sales briefing, write the minutes of meeting, and write my sales report, and they'd call up the customer, and the customer said, I did not say that, because that was my version of what I had said. But I never covered the requirements of the customer because I didn't keep quiet, right? So I think that's very very important, in my mind. Right? You need to listen, and there is no
Okay.
harm being slightly introverted. Actually, it might give you more edge as a salesperson.
Yeah, I think I really like Abhinav's point as well, that we need to extend our comfort zone, and we often don't think of it that way, but that was a really insightful point. And again, Abhishek, the way that you explain that you need to be a good listener, and you're right. People think that sales is about talking and talking, and you have to listen to them, but it's really about them listening to you and your problems. So that's absolutely true. We have another question. Hello, sir. This is Vivek Singh from Deen Dayal Upadhyay, Gorakhpur University. He's pursuing BCom. He's in his third year, and he wants tips regarding sales management. Um,
I think, yeah, Abhishek can take that. Abhishek,
Abhishek, you're on mute.
you are on mute.
Sorry, I was speaking and thinking I was you all hearing me. Sorry. So Vivek, the question is a little broad, but let me see if I can help you. Right. I think sales management. The tips: start sales early in life. Number one, you do sales late in life. I kind of got there a little late, and as Abhinav said, by design by and not by default. Don't make the mistakes that we both have made. Right? Abhinav is corrected his mistake pretty early. I took a while. I wasted some time. Right? So hear it from an old man who's done 3 degrees, who's worked all across the world, and take it as gospel truth. Start sales early. Number one. I think that would be the number one single tip I would do. Second thing is, please remember, sales is all about um, sales is all about building a connect with the customer, right? So um, don't uh, don't think sales is, oh, I need to push a button and things will happen. Sales is not coding, right? Sales is a human job. Sales is a people job, right? So be prepared to meet people and talk to people regularly, interact with people, right? That is something you must remember about sales management. And I think the last piece about sales management, and we have definitely covered this in the course, um, is your quantability has to be good, or if not great, right? You need to be comfortable with numbers. Sales is about numbers, right? Sales is not just about talking and getting done with, right? Sales is about understanding how close I am to my target, how much is left, how many my which of my deals will fall. Um, Sales is about what kind of products I need to sell, more profitable products or less profitable products. So sales has one level of quantitative ability associated with it. So I think that's something that you must genuinely understand and don't disregard in sales. When you start your career in sales, that there is a level of associated with it. I hope that answers the question, Vivek.
We have another question. Please give me tips regarding good communication skills.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
go ahead, Abhinav.
yeah. So regarding good communication skills, the very first tip I would give is talk to yourself at times. Because see, if let's say there are people, I understand that there are some of the people who do not feel comfortable maybe talking in a certain language to other people. For that matter, let's start with English, right? Some of the people who are not very much comfortable speaking in English with maybe other people, right? Start with yourself. Everything start with yourself. Maybe just stand in front of the mirror and just talk to yourself for some of the time, right? Maybe you will be able to find your pace. That's one thing, that you need to always find your pace, and at what pace do you want to deliver your speech, because you need to first think, then you need to understand, and then you have to deliver that same speech. The second tip which I can help you out with is, if you want to have good communication skill, always surround yourself with the particular communication with which you want to go for. Let's say if I talk about English, or Hindi, or for that matter any of the thing, video and audio is something which your brain always captures very easily. Watch things which are in that particular language, let's say news channels for that matter. You can watch series which are in English or any other particular language, or anything which you want to go for, right? So these are some of the tips. I think Abhishek will add on to some more, but these are two top tips which I would give for a good communication skills, how you can improve on it.
I actually teach communications at multiple business schools, and business communication is very simple, right? Communication is not necessarily about English. I think I want to clarify that. Germans speak German in Germany, French speak French in France, right? It's fine, right? In fact, yes, expectation is, because English is the language of business, that at least you be conversant in English when you in an interview or you're talking to a customer. But you will be surprised. A lot of customers will turn back and say, "Can you say it in Hindi?" Right? I have met a lot of government officials and people where suddenly switch to Hindi in the conversation and their face just brightens up. They want to talk to you more and more, right? And suddenly it becomes Abhishek ji rather than Abhishek, right? So I think the point of communication is the connect, right? I think you don't need to over obsess about language. That's the only thing I would identify, right? Language is required as a hygiene, but language should not be considered a barrier, right? A lot of people think language as a barrier, and I think that's very wrong, particularly in sales and even outside sales. A lot of people believe, oh, I can't speak in English, so my career will not grow. I mean, a lot of know Vijay Shekhar Sharma, who's the CEO and founder of Paytm, speak great English, right? Our prime minister doesn't speak English all the time, but he's one of the most amazing speakers. You hear him, people gone all across the world, people hear him and want to hear him again and again, right? And by the way, they put on headphones when to understand him, but they hear him when they see him speak, right? They watch him. So communication is all a lot about non-verbal communication also, right? That's what I would add.
Absolutely. And I think this also answers the question by A to Z channel that during an interview, is it mandatory to speak in English or we can prefer mother tongue language? So that's absolutely true. It really depends on the situation, like you mentioned, and English isn't the only language. It's a universal language, but it isn't the only language. So I think from what I've gathered and what you two talked about, it's that it really depends on who your client is, I guess. Am I right? Abhishek and Abhinav? I hope that I hope I'm not answering the question there, but that is what I think as well, that it's not the only language. It's really about your own comfort and your own confidence. We'll now be talking about another question. Travel Mind asks, how do we handle rejection and impolite behavior, which is quite commonly faced by salesmen?
Can I take that? Because I've seen a lot of it in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I've seen it. It's because I was wrong and because I was immature, not the customer. When you offer something to a customer that they don't want to buy, they are going to get irritated. They're going to scream at you, they're going to shout at you, they are going to become impolite, they're going to become rude, they're going to be difficult, they're going to be aggressive, right? So, one of the key things in sales is to very quickly understand when to push and when to pull back. So no customer is knowingly rude to anyone. No customer. But if you push the customer the wrong way, in my opinion, and what I've seen in my career, and I've done it multiple times. I was a little young. You understand, when we were growing up in India, India was didn't have so many opportunities. We were very desperate lot, right? So I went to Delhi College of Engineering. I went to Georgia Tech ISB, but I still was very desperate when I started my job. I would push with customers because I wanted that sale. I wanted my variable. I wanted my bonus. Uh, and I realized the harder I pushed to the wrong customer, selling the wrong product, the more aggressive the customer became. So I think that is where you hear these stories from people, right? And I think the beauty of sales isn't it's an art. There is the science and the numbers part of sales, but the art is to understand when to push and when to pull back. That would be my advice or my suggestions.
Abhinav, do you
Hope that
want
makes
to add
sense.
your own thoughts as well?
I think, yeah, mostly Abhishek has already answered that if you push the customer the wrong way, which, of course, as a sales professionals, I have also done at times. And that's where the impolite and rude behavior comes in from the customer, because he does not want somebody who is pushing him or her unnecessarily, right? If just to give you an example, maybe you just go in a showroom just to look out at the products, and if there is a salesperson just behind you, right? No, I think maybe some of the people might not like it, because you have just gone to see that whether the product is there or not. And then there might be people, right, who are just behind you and they want to sell. And if at wrong time you push a wrong customer, I mean, you have done that mistake. There these are some of the expectation which you can get from the customers. And but if you are polite enough, if you are able to understand your customer better, I think, yeah, that should not happen. And it does not happen regularly. I mean, there is again a myth that I'll get a rude call maybe on a regular basis. It happened with me, I think, once or twice in the entire career till now. So I don't think that happens on a regular basis. You just need to be more patient with your customer. That's it.
Absolutely. So we'll take a last question for this session. Um, just a second. Okay. So what
Shagun,
is the,
there's a very interesting question. Sorry, go ahead, go ahead. I saw a very interesting question, so I wanted to respond to it.
I
But if
assume
you
it's the
picked out
if I
some,
want to sell a comb to a bald person question.
no, actually, it's a different one which says, "Do you think volume matters more than average order value?" It's a very good technical question asked by Aditya, and
All right.
because see, a lot of the questions we've answered are probably more human side. But I would, if I have your permission, can I answer that? If that is just a
Absolutely.
question which caught my eye,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
absolutely. Let's go ahead.
So Aditya, fantastic question. Fantastic question. In fact, this is what got my job at Apple, right? It literally, I said one thing in the interview to the head of strategy. When we were building, he said, my B2B business is losing profitability. I said, your problem is your volumes are peaking very question. Uh, your volumes are peaking very quickly and you're dropping the price very quickly. Because you're dropping your price, your profitability is breaking. And every time you go back to the customer expects a bigger discount and a bigger discount. So I said one of the things you need to ensure is as you increase volume, your size, the price of the unit and the profitability at which we sell should also be monitored. And sometimes it's okay to lose deals, particularly in the B2B space, and sometimes even in B2C. We'll see a lot of customer B2C companies run very aggressive discounts and then suddenly pull discounts because they have bled so much and they realized whatever volume we have made extra, there's no profitability with it. In fact, it's negative profitability. You know, that is toxic profitability. You don't even need it. Trust me, you are better off not even having that business because converting a non profitable customer to a profitable customer is impossible. It's one of the hardest things in the planet, right? So I think that's a very good technical question. It depends on B2C to B2B, but it's a very tight play between volume and average order value or profitability, right? So I think that's a very good question, Aditya. And the answer is it depends on the situation, but a lot of companies, particularly in the B2B space, prefer volumes, hoping that they can add new products and new services and increase the average order value. And in the B2C space, a lot of companies will initially build volume and then focus only on average order value and not focus on volume after that. So it's different for different sort of companies, but I think fantastic question. I loved it.
All right. This is one last question. What is the difference between a business development head and a CEO? I was slightly confused, but I really want some clarity on this as well. So, if one of you could please take this up.
Okay. So I'll take the basic initials of it, and then I think Abhishek, being a CEO, will be able to help to understand it more clearly. So business development head majorly builds the strategies and everything around revenue, because his entire purpose for the system is to drive the revenue for the company. And CEO, on the contrary, he handles the entire strategy, the policies, and other things for the entire business, right? So CEOs is completely responsible for that particular company, and business development head majorly is responsible for the revenue driving. So that's what my take on this would be. I think Abhishek will give you a better clarity on this.
I think I'll just add on to what Abhinav said. It's very simple. CEO looks at business development as one function, and there are 20 other functions that he or she looks at, right? HR, finance, marketing, branding, customer service. So a CEO is actually looking at everything, and in fact, a CEO over a period of time becomes a master of none and jack of all trades. But a business development head is a very strong functional head. He understands and has a very strong domain skill, right? Not that a business development head cannot be a CEO, but when they become a CEO, they start to apply different parts of their brain, right? It's not one part of the brain that they work on a daily basis. So I think one is a functional role and one is a cross-functional role and a more senior role. That I think is the fundamental difference. Initially in startups, CEOs are also the business development heads.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think we've answered all questions. However, we still haven't answered the question of the activity. So, Abhinav, would you? Uh, we had a few comments.
Somebody
Travel
has
man.
already answered it. A
Yeah.
fish, I think Aditya has answered it. Fish could be a goldfish here. It would be
Hmm.
pretty easy to sell one because with a pure vegetarian Brahmin, I mean, it's just a question which I generally ask to understand whether thinking out of the box is just the understanding for this question. So yes, I mean that's on point. Other than that, there could be answers like there is a toy which is in a shape of fish, and I'm a
Yeah.
pure
Absolutely.
vegetarian. I don't have to really eat it, right? So everybody goes in the same domain. That fish is something which is meant for eating, but no. So that's one way of going for it. Yeah,
There's
I think
another
Aditya
very
has clearly answered that. Yeah,
Yeah. There's another very clever answer to this. Fish is our top selling product. It stands for Fast Interface Software is here. So,
wonderful. Yeah,
creativity knows no bounds. And these are some really unique answers for sure. Um, so, I think we've answered all the questions. A to Z has asked, please respond to my question, ma'am. Is there another question? We can always respond on our, social media pages as well. So I think this is a good time for us to wrap this session up. Thank you for all the attendees who came here, joined us for an hour. I really hope that you had a great learning time. And if you're interested in this industry, you can check out Internshala's placement guarantee course in sales and business development. I'll send the link right here in the chat box in a few seconds. Till then, we can have your closing remarks, Abhishek and Avinav.
So, Abhinav, it's okay if I go ahead first.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Abhishek.
Yeah, I think it's very simple. I think I made the mistake of stumbling into sales in my career. Right, I didn't choose sales; sales happened to me. But I think a lot of you are young, early in your career. Start your career the right way. Right? It's it's not only about just taking a course, but genuinely start your career in the sales domain. I think and business development domain. It will do wonders to your career. It will set you up for life, both personally and professionally, right? And I think I wish all of you super best of luck. You are the shining lights of our country, and more importantly, you're the next generation of CEOs and entrepreneurs and salespeople, right? So we have a lot riding on you. So make us proud. That's all I would say.
Great, Abhishek. So yeah, mostly into the same line that sales is one of the profiles which will always be required no matter where you go. Because if you go into any of the job profiles and you will be finding sales, you will be selling something or another at that particular time. I think you and if you are going for sales, the only logic is that you go with the entire enthusiasm. And I also started with sales as the initial career, so I started my career into sales only, and I did not go anywhere after that. So sales is because once you start getting a double pay, there is no other job which you'd ever like. Correct. So that's my take on this. I also give all the best to you guys. You can check out. We have a program which is completely built on the sales and business development to give you all these skills related to this. And post completion of the program, there is a guaranteed job which we are offering with that. So you can check out that. I think the link is already there in the comment section. And yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for all joining in today.
Thank you, everyone. We'll be wrapping the session now. And we'll see you guys in the next session. Bye bye.
But thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.